And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Rolling up. Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Water towers, fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Fighting down to SPD off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Look at this!
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? We don't need any more of these.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Slick 40, where we have a Falcon 9 getting ready to launch 22 more Starlink satellites. And this is a special one because this is the first flight of B-1085. So rejoice, we have something very, very cool happening this mission. My name is Adrian Beil, I'm your host for today's Starlink 10-5 mission, as we are just 58 minutes away from hopefully seeing a Falcon 9 launch. Welcome everybody, and I'm not alone on this cast for today. I'm joined by Mr. Ryan Weber. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Adrian. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for this one. Like this is gonna be a good one. I feel like it's always cool to have like something very special about these missions, and it's kind of a testament to SpaceX overall success that we at this point know twin and boosters new. So that's kind of exciting. Also in the field, we have, of course, our Cape crew, starting with D. D, how you doing?
I am doing really well. It is a great, bright, and early morning out here for a launch.
I hope it's a launch. We will talk a bit about the window. There's not that much more wiggle room in this window. But first, I also want to introduce Mr. Max Evans. Max, how is it this morning?
Well, good morning, everybody. Well, the sun is already out, of course, as you can see, and it's already getting pretty warm, and we are already starting to burn. So it is a lovely time out here in the field. But otherwise, it's looking great. Skies are clear, and we are hopefully aiming to see a brand new Falcon 9 booster taking off in just under 1 hour.
There we go. That's indeed the hope for. And as always, we want to make the next 56 minutes as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions about Falcon 9, about Starship, about Starliner, about anything that is space related that we maybe can talk about today, make sure to tag at NASA Spaceflight in chat, because that makes sure that the questions are displayed in our handy little tool. And of course, I will also watch chat and we'll pick some questions. But before we even go into questions and mission summary, I really have to thank a person here, because even before we started the stream, Elizabeth Höppner gifted 50 Red Team memberships. And that's a kind of support that I cannot let just stand there. So thank you so much, Elizabeth, for that very, very generous support. I had to mention that before we go into the mission ceremony, and I hope everybody, I saw like a lot of thank yous when that happened. So thank you, everybody. Ryan, what's today's mission? What's happening here?
Well, today we have Starlink 10-5. It's your normal Starlink Group 10, going to 286 by 297 orbit, 53 degree inclination. And the fun part about this mission is new, as we said earlier, it's a new booster. It's kind of unique. SpaceX doesn't get new boosters very often these days. I mean, we get, so much reuse and everything, we forget that they're still building these things. Because, you can't just stop building them. It's kind of bad for production lines and parts and other things like that. But yeah, so we got a brand new booster today.
So there we go. I feel like that's the big thing for today. The new booster, of course. And I know Max started with a bit of a weather outview, but let's also throw to DED. Is there anything right now that we would classify as a potential concern for today's launch?
There's nothing really major. It is blue skies out around here. In the actual forecast, the 45th Weather Squadron has low for all of their additional risk criteria. So that's upper level wind shear, booster recovery weather, and solar activity. So there are really no issues there. And then their primary concerns would be cumulus cloud rule and the thick cloud layers rule, which for the window as a whole had a 20% probability of violating weather constraints. Looking around here, it is really clear. There's a little bit of clouds to the south, but there's really nothing major of concern that I'm looking at right now.
There we go. I like these. And then we also see the weather report, of course, which on launch day, the last one that was issued showed a 20% chance of violating weather criteria, although that report is a bit older, so there's a good chance that at this point maybe the odds are a bit better. We should also mention that we are at the very end of the window. It seems yesterday SpaceX went into a bit of testing with this booster, and maybe they just run out of time to make it at the beginning of the window. So this is basically the very end of the window. So if they have to delay any further, it's not going to happen today. So that's the situation here, and we will see what we will see over today. Ryan, we have to address something here that happened yesterday in spaceflight, because I see a few questions about this. What do you think of the issue at Saxaford, and where does it leave RFA? For everybody that is not aware, RFA, the German company, experienced a launch anomaly, a test anomaly, yesterday on the test stand, where it looks like it looks like a rapid unscheduled disassembly of the rocket. So, Ryan, what's your take on the footage that we have seen?
Yeah, it looks like shortly after ignition, there was some kind of issue that caught, and it looked like the vehicle tried to depress, but during its attempt to depress, it somewhat made the situation worse and caused an even larger fire, resulting in total loss of the vehicle and damage to the pad itself. It's one of those things. This is the reason why you test. The reason why you as we always say when we talk about Starship or other things like that, you run into problems. It's not great for a company that hasn't launched yet. It stinks. I was really looking forward to see them get going. But it's more than just kind of a setback. I think they'll recover, get back on their feet, and get to launching. Things like this happen, and the sign of a good company, the sign of a and whatnot, good team is you rebuild, you get back on your feet, and you get to launching. It's going to set things back a decent amount, but they'll get back there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first company that produced hardware for launch that in the end didn't launch. Look at Starship. Look at so many other rockets in the past that look at Tianlong 3, for example. Like, there were rockets that were destined to fly and in the end didn't. And that's just sometimes how it happens in testing. So yeah, all the best to the RFA teams, and I'm sure they will recover just fine. So, let's see here. This is an interesting one. Max, Joanne M is asking, it seems to be a lot of end-of-the-window launches lately. Why? Is that a trend? Do you think that's a trend? Do you feel that's a trend?
Well, at least it's... For those of us in the field, it definitely seems to be a trend. It's almost to the point where we get out here and we get set up, and we almost expect it to go to at least past the halfway point in the window, if not the very end of the window. But in all actuality, there are so many factors that play into that, whether it be vehicle readiness, data review, and Mostly, it's down to the weather, but either in the launch zones or in recovery. So, I mean, Florida is very temperamental, even at night when the weather should be calm. So if the seas are too rough or the winds are blowing too hard at either location, they do have that option to push to the end of the window or at least extend for a few hours, assuming they have not started prop load, to see if the weather would calm down enough to warrant acceptable launch conditions. So. I think just from a typical bird's eye view, yeah, they have been going to the end of the window a lot. That is typical Starlink nowadays. But there are a lot of factors that play into that. And I don't, of course, obviously SpaceX doesn't intentionally try to do that to make everyone angry. So, yeah, it's interesting, but that's just the way it goes. That's space flight.
I think it also comes down with like their huge push for cadence. Sometimes you're just not right there ready at the beginning of the window, and then they get there just before the end. So yeah, it doesn't feel like a crazy thing happening. It's just the nature of these windows. And it's a good thing about the windows. If they didn't have them, they would scrub a lot. So.
Yes, they would. Yes, indeed they would. And that's why we are grateful. Because normally, for either commercial missions or especially with crewed missions, the window is either very short or instantaneous. So they only have one opportunity to launch. And of course, with that 4-hour window, they have ample time. Assuming, of course, they have not sort of prop load, because once they begin prop load, they are committed to the targeted T0 that they were originally aiming for. So, assuming that they haven't begun prop load, they have a decent amount of flexibility in their window.
Yep, I absolutely agree with you. And I think also we should mention, and Ryan will throw like for your opinion here after this. It's kind of interesting paradigm change with this launch, right? Because this booster already has an assigned second mission with the planned Crew 9 mission, but it seems NASA arrived at the point where they prefer a booster to fly once before they launch Crew. So is that like something that is of note for you, Ryan?
I mean, it's one of those things. It's flight proven. You flew it, you know it works. So, you kind of can look at it and be like, well, it's more reliable now. In that sense, I mean, because when something's new, you haven't, as much as SpaceX goes through, tests all the valves, does a cryo, does a static fire, does everything along like that. It's kind of one of those things. It's like, okay, well, why not? Let's actually put it through a flight to test it. And then it's like, okay, well, it works. It's even more reliable to fly Crew on it. Not saying that a new booster wouldn't be, but it definitely puts more confidence in a vehicle when it is flight proven, at least for me.
Absolutely. And D, there was some other reasons, like there's an additional reason why they might want to test this before crewed flight, right?
Yeah, so during transport from McGregor to Florida, there was some water intrusion in the LOX tank, I believe. And so they knew that they had that water intrusion. I believe they briefly addressed this during one of the recent commercial crew press briefings. And so by doing a Starlink flight, in addition to they did a static fire of this booster yesterday. So by performing a full flight, that really proves out that, hey, even though we know that there were these minor issues due to the transport, they get to really test all the systems and, like you said, have it flight proven before launching Crew. And that's one of the great things about them launching so many internal missions. They can take that tiny bit more risk on these. They have plenty of payloads ready to go, so they can fly a mission and have it ready to go and flight proven for Crew.
There we go. I really like the approach here. Like it's a very good way to kind of risk buy down. You're additionally giving this booster one more flight, and I mean, more confidence for crewed flights is something that I'm not really opposed to. It's that's a good thing. So let's keep that trend going. I also have a nice Alex statistics here from you. This is the 4th time that a new booster has debuted on a Starlink mission. By the way, this is Starlink 10-5, of course. But then we also had B1073 with Starlink 415, B1075 with 2.4, and B1082 with 7.9. So this is already the 4th time that is happening. So kind of cool statistic. Let's see here. I saw some questions about the countdown, and I think R&D King in chat was asking about if they're already in prop load, and I'm now throwing Jay maybe under the bus. No, I'm doing not. Ryan, what's the timeline for today? What are we looking at? When should we expect to see Frost? When is this rocket entering tanking?
Well, this Falcon 9 will begin LOX load and RP1 load around T-minus 35 minutes. We're at T-minus about just under 44. So they haven't even verified go for prop load yet. So that'll happen in T-minus 38. So we're still waiting to see if they are fully go for this. We haven't heard anything in SpaceX. But it really is that confirmation once you start seeing Frost in the vehicle, and then you get that really big confirmation when you get the 20-minute event, obviously, at for LOX chill down. So
Yep. So don't be scared yet if you don't see Frost on this rocket. That's normal. If you would see Frost on this rocket right now, that would be more of a surprise. So let's hope they're continuing to track down here their timeline for today. Let me thank some more people here, starting with Hell 9000 becoming a Red Team member. Thank you so much for that. And Chris W, one of our moderators here in chat, also gifting a Red Team membership. Thank you so much. And I also see Gabriel being a Capcom member for 18 months now. Thanks for all of that support here. We should talk about Polaris at some point. I know, Max, you were on a press conference lately, and how's your feeling about Polaris that close to it happening?
Yeah, we were lucky enough to have Dee and I both invited by SpaceX to attend the Polaris presser yesterday. And that was an absolutely wonderful experience. We saw the whole crew come in, the crew and, of course, their support crew come in on their trio of Alpha Jets and pair of L-39s over at the SLF over here at the KSC. So, yeah, it was wonderful. And I'm struggling to find words for it because it was one of the most quality crewed launch press events that we've ever been to, simply for the fact that we had ample time to ask the crew pretty much whatever we wanted. We had a lot of time with them overall in terms of the event's length, and the crew spoke extensively about many or numerous details of their mission. And it was wonderful to be there, and it was so... Forgive me if I sound jumbled, but SpaceX brought us over to the Starfighter hangar over at the SLF yesterday, and that's where it was all being hosted. So it was wonderful to see the crew so in very high spirits this close to launch. Now under 1 week to launch. Next Monday, I believe, is the current targeted launch date. But we're feeling good. It was really lovely to see all of the genuine interest that this program has sparked, both in public, but also within the press pool that was there as well. Everyone was very happy to be there, and they were very happy to share this experience with others, and of course learn whatever the crew was willing to talk about. And also Gersh was there too, hosting, so that was awesome. But we are very, very, very excited for Polaris coming up next week. It might be one of, if not the most waited for missions of 2024. So we're ready.
I fully and 100% agree with you. It's one of these missions that start to feel a bit, I don't know, you feel the excitement and the nerves days before. And
there's
that's
also
always good.
Absolutely, and there's also so much that's new about this mission that's also so exciting. I'm not dogging on NASA crewed flights at all, because those are always special, of course. But more or less, you know what to expect with those missions, and it becomes more or less routine the more you do them. With a mission like Polaris, with so much that's new, people are going to be engaged for the entire flight, whether it ends up being 4 to 5 or 6 days, whatever it ends up being at the end. People are going to be tuned in and paying attention pretty much the whole time, which is going to be awesome to see.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for it. D, I know you have watched quite a lot of launches at this point. Where does this rank in your like top excited launches?
Oh, it's up there. It's definitely up there. Easily top 5, I think. And
Yeah,
now I'm just trying to go back through all the launches because, like, all right, how many? Because they're the Starship flights, which are cool, but they aren't human space flight. And Artemis 1 has to be ahead of it. I just I have to say that. I got a very rude facial expression from Max. He was a little bit shocked. But I think Artemis 1 is a step ahead of it potentially. I mean, it's right up there with Demo 2, Inspiration 4. I'd say it's ahead of Vulcan debut flight.
Yeah.
But I mean, these are
it's
all
crude, that's
such
fair.
incredible missions. I feel bad trying to rank them with such granularity, but it is about as excited for a mission as I can be.
I'm sorry for throwing you under the bus there with that question, but
No, that's all right. I
I'm
like going back and thinking about all these launches because there are just so many incredible events in spaceflight happening right now, and that will be continuing to happen over the next several years. So I hope like the fact that I'm struggling to find a favorite mission. I've only been doing this 4 years now, and there have already been so many events that something like this is only definitely in the top 5, maybe top 3. It's around there. That just is a sign of what a great time it is to be following spaceflight.
it's one of these things when you think about it, like you and Max and Julia, like you're probably all up there in the most rocket launches seen in person statistics, like somewhere. Of course, there might be some people that have doing this like since, I don't know, early shuttle, but you're probably like up there in the very, very high percentages all.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about because I mean, everything is really picked up. We're at 58 launches from Cape Canaveral and Kennedy this year overall, I believe.
Crazy.
So I believe this makes 59. Like I could be off by a couple there, but everything's picked up so much. So I mean, I think I'm well over 200 launches I've seen, and everyone remains special. Even the late night Starlinks that do hit different.
Very different. I've heard from Max that they do hit very different. So yeah, absolutely.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
You're happy now. Ryan, before we went into fueling here, by the way, quick side note, the weather board is green right now, so good news. Ben Gilbert is asking, do you think the launch cadence for Falcon 9 will fall off once Starship begins launching the larger Starlink satellites, or will the V2 and V2 minis both continue to be launched?
I think they'll keep them both running until the constellation is more or less complete. There's no reason to slow down Falcon 9 because the quicker you get that constellation done, the better. So, I mean, Starship, but as of right now, I think it's only going to be able to do about double what Falcon 9 does, which is in reality not a whole lot more. I mean, it is double, but still, in reality, it's just overall. You still launching 22 to 24 sats on Falcon 9 will help fill out that constellation pretty quickly. So there's no reason to slow down Falcon on that front at all. And Falcon's going to keep flying for a lot longer than people think, even when Starship's online. You don't retire a rocket this reliable. You don't.
Yeah, it's probably has like a good 10 years or so of life left.
Or
I would imagine.
I would argue honestly probably more like 15 to 20, just given how it's become such a workhorse and it's so capable. I can't really imagine anything else really taking its place, at least on SpaceX's side, within at least 15 years. Even when Starship is up and flying fully operationally. I don't know. I think Falcon can keep flying for as long as SpaceX wants it to.
And like with Starship as a whole, Alex in the back channel is like, when Starship can launch 5 times in 7 days, maybe they'll replace Falcon. I mean, yeah, but the real thing is how far away are we from that? If I look at I look at Starship as a whole, knowing that program as well as I do, like we're honestly, for that cadence, is not going to be till the end of this decade. I mean, they're about to. This next pad will go on in. You have one pad in Boca about to go online, maybe a year and a half. 39A maybe in a year and a half. Okay, that's 2. Then your other pad is going to be a while away, and then that's that. You still have Slick 37, which got to get built. So, it's going to be a while away. Falcon 9 is going to stay for a while.
You know what maybe might not stay on a while for a pad here? A Falcon 9 that is now in prop load. SpaceX has confirmed that propellant load has started, and the skies are clear for this morning's launch of 22 Starlink satellites from Pad 40 in Florida. So there you go. We are moving into the prop load here, which is the exciting part. And I also saw some comments here in the chat where it's like, oh, Falcon 9 is not that reliable. It failed recently. Well, it had one failure out of like over 300 launches. That's still quite reliable for a rocket. So, there you go. Just wanted to address that quickly while we are here getting ready to observe some frost. And that frost ring, it's always tough with this angle sometimes, but we will try to observe the frost ring. And Max and D, of course, feel ready to shout at me once you see frost on the rocket. Let's see here. I have to thank a person here quickly, because I just saw that Daniel, our very own NSF Daniel, celebrates 38 months as a launch director, saying 11 days till retirement. Then I can spend more time doing things for NSF. And I wish you a good start into your retirement and that you can do more stuff with us, because you do quite amazing stuff with us. So always happy to have you around, Daniel. And let's see here. Talk about Starliner. Well, there's not that many updates on Starliner right now, right, Ryan?
No, NASA and Boeing are still looking at all the data that they've gathered, and trying to make as best of an informed decision as they can make. I think it was Wayne Hale had a blog post. One of those things is you ask all the engineers, you get all the data you gotta get, but at some point you gotta make that call, you gotta make that decision, and NASA will make that at some point in concert with Boeing. So we're just kind of waiting on them waiting to hear on what decision they make. That's kind of where we're at right now.
There we go. And I also want to quickly point out that Maroto in our back channel has just confirmed that the reliability of Falcon 9 Block 5 is 99.676%. So there you go. And also I want to use that moment where Maroto is mentioned here to mention that we have an amazing Instagram and Facebook page that is very well maintained. And if you prefer these platforms for your updates, then make sure to check them out. And with that, let's see. Max, so far any luck frost spotting?
Not quite yet. It should appear at the bottom of the LOX tank from our perspective first. Looking at these feed here, I don't see anything quite yet, but we should literally in the next 1 to 2 minutes. Do you see anything?
I see it. I see it on the.
I was
which-
about to cut in. I
Yeah.
do see some vapor towards the very bottom, right above the tree line. It's
You
hard
can see like
to see. There's so much backlighting from this angle, but there.
on the right camera. If you go to, I think that's D's camera right now that we see on the right. Yeah, that one. You can see there's a leaf that is going over Falcon 9 or like a branch, and above that you can see condensation. You can see like there's a mist going away from the Falcon 9. That's how you can see it's happening. So there we go. Good news. We are progressing here, and now means we are locked in. Correct, Ryan?
Yeah, we're into propellant loading, and we're heading right towards the T0 in just under 30 minutes here.
Why is that, by the way, that they cannot change the T0 anymore now that they have start propellant loading?
Because SpaceX does load and go. They do a subcool propellant. If they were to try to delay, the propellant would warm up too much, and they wouldn't really get the performance they need out of the rocket to do the payload they want to do to the correct orbit they want to do. So they kind of lock themselves into the instantaneous T0s that they have. So that is definitely changed with Starship. They have a little more wiggle room on that one compared to the Falcon. But yeah, that's why.
There we go. I'm throwing this to D. D, there's a question from Arc Trooper. What's the difference between Cape Canaveral and KC? I thought KC was at the Cape.
Yeah, a lot of people refer to them interchangeably, but they are technically two distinct entities. So Kennedy Space Center is sort of NASA's side of the whole Cape. So that's 39A, 39B, and then there's a little bit of mixed area on like 41 where it's like the pad's technically like Space Force, but it's on like the NASA side of the gate, and there's a little bit of weirdness with the exact line, but there are actually gates within KSC and Cape Canaveral because Cape Canaveral is the Space Force station, so that's where more of the like military type missile testing, any of that sort of stuff would be. And so that there is a line, even if it does get a bit blurry.
There we go. That's I found this interesting because I always mix them up as well. So it was like, for me, I learned something. That's it's always the confusing wording with everything around here and where everything is and whatnot. So there we go. That's the answer here. Ryan, while I have you here, I have to ask a Starship question. I think that's very appropriate when we have you on. What's your best guess for Flight 5?
Ooh. Yeah, it is one of those questions. Well, after they did that lovely testing with B14.1, the catch testing, SpaceX is now it basically they're adding doubler plates, not really doubler plates, like gusset plates to the welds on the chopsticks. So that could take a week or two. Really hard to tell. There's a decent. I forgot. I counted how many plates they might need to add, or I think it was Zach that counted them. I can't remember, but there's a decent amount they got to add to that. It's like 300 something. So it's gonna take a bit to do all that, to put them all on, weld them all in, clean it all up, paint it all again. That's gonna take some time, and then which will make the chopsticks offline for a bit, so they can't put a booster on the OLM while they're doing that. I still think we're like 4 weeks out, 3-4 weeks. It's because, and we haven't heard anything FAA wise, so they still want to do possibly a wet dress, and they're still working on the pad. It's probably not till middle end of September, at least.
Yeah, I agree. Mid to late September is like what I would like now say if somebody would like make me guess. So yeah, somewhere in there. No signs of them going like super crazy fast right now. Let's see here. We are just 5 minutes away from our very favorite vent, so we will explain that once it happens. We get a question here. What are we most excited about the Polaris Dawn mission? Like, is there a specific element we are all most excited about? I feel like I have a good idea what will be said here, but let's go around the horn. Max, what are you most excited about with Polaris Dawn?
It is a combination of things. One, it is the orbit, the elliptical orbit. I think the highest apogee being around 700 kilometers, which is very, very high. Or sorry, 1,400 kilometers. Excuse me, 1,400 kilometers, 700 miles. That's about what it comes out to, just about. But also, I think first and foremost, well, secondly and foremost, but mainly the EVA, of course, and the debut of their brand new suits and all of their brand new capabilities. So, really, I am so excited for the EVA, and I cannot wait to hear what Jared has to say about it once it's all wrapped up.
Let's go to D. What's your most excited Polaris Dawn moment?
I mean, Max really said it. The EVA is the main thing that I'm really excited for. The orbit's incredibly exciting, but I'll just say, as a generic, of course, every single crew launch is incredibly exciting. And getting yesterday to go out to the hangar to see them fly in and just hear them talk about this mission that they've been preparing for, that they're passionate about. Like, Jared is incredibly passionate about this mission. That's why he's invested so much money into it. He got a question during the briefing yesterday that I think all of us found a little bit funny. Someone asked, could you give a rough estimate of about how much you've invested into this? And he said, not a chance, but good question. And I think we all enjoyed that moment. But he has invested a ton of money into this. There are multiple missions coming after this, including the first crewed flight of Starship. So seeing the mission as a whole and knowing that they are so passionate about space, I don't even know what to say. It's really, really cool because, of course, every astronaut is dedicating like their lives to this. And so everyone is incredibly passionate, but this is someone who had the opportunity to like venture away from what they were previously doing in their career to help out St. Jude's and to explore space, push medical research, all this sort of stuff. And it's all right. I feel like I'm rambling now, but
No,
I'm
that's
just
fine.
really excited about this mission and this program as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. I like the whole program. I think it is a very exciting program that is just moving like next to all of these more governmental programs that we have. So that's kind of cool. Spicing up a bit here, Ryan. Ryan, what's your take on the whole Fram 2 announcement going over the polar continent?
It's really cool. I can't.
Polar,
You
get
know,
it? Cool.
yeah. It's a unique mission. I can't wait to see it go. I love these really cool specific like crewed missions that SpaceX is doing. They're it's really utilizing a lot of the things that Falcon 9 and Dragon can do. And it's just unique and it's fun. I can't wait to watch it go. Yeah.
Yep. Also, it has the potential, for example, to bring the first female German astronauts into space, which would be Rebecca Rogge. Because so far there has not been any female German astronauts, to my knowledge. And let's focus on Falcon 9 here, because Falcon 9 is about to enter a very crucial moment of its countdown. We are about 20 seconds away from it. And that crucial moment is, of course, the T-minus 20-minute vent. Ryan, what's that vent? Why is it happening?
20 vent is chill down of the strong back. So as we all love with Starship and everything, we always see the OLM vent go, always see the Pope vent go, see the Tower vent go. It's the same thing. It's chilling down the lines in before you actually flow, cryofluids through them. Because if you just went for full bore and went cryofluids through, you might shock cool the lines, crack them, and destroy them. That would not be a good thing. So you have to slowly chill it down beforehand. So they basically flow liquid oxygen through and kind of, just dump it overboard as they do it. So it's the same concept.
There we go. Always interesting to talk about this because it's a very visual, clear moment in the countdown. And of course, there on the left, you see the remaining of the countdown. Let me do something I like to do when we have our photographers and videographers here on the call. I like to ask them what's their plan for today? Like who's gonna track? What's your plan for liftoff? And let me start here with Max. Max, what's your plan for this launch, and your expectation as well?
Well, the light I have to say is pretty disgusting right now, and I think D can back me up on that, just because the rocket is pretty much all backlit at this point. So nothing too crazy today. Obviously, we have the camera that I'm on today, and it will be zoomed in much tighter than it is now. It's the view you see now. It will be zoomed in much tighter come launch time. But both of us will be tracking, and also I have my Canon R5 behind me, looking to get some 4K 120 footage as well. At liftoff. So nothing too crazy, but just getting some cool footage.
Absolutely, looking forward to that track. And D, what's your plan for today?
Yeah, so I have my feed at 800 millimeter equivalent. So I will be tracking on that in slow motion as usual. With the backlighting, I'm going to do something I've done on a couple of the previous missions with similar lighting. I'm going to drop down the exposure a fair bit to get some more detail in the flame, because it's really challenging to get some nice exposure on the rocket itself. And then during flight, it's honestly going to pass pretty close to the sun. So I'll adjust exposure throughout to get the vapor trail in there, hopefully get to separation, and then I'll hopefully be providing a slow-mo replay shortly after launch.
There is a pretty unique opportunity for conditions like these when the rocket is solely backlit, where if you expose correctly, you get detail in the exhaust plume, and then if there does end up being some kind of vapor cone, if the atmosphere is playing nice, then that comes out as white with the rocket's shadow protruding through it. It's a really cool visual. It's really cool to see. So hopefully we can get some of that for everyone today.
Absolutely cool. And I also want to quickly mention here, Gage, behind the scenes, also will use one of our Cape assets called Cape02 to remotely track the rocket. And this is one of the cool things that we are able to do thanks to all of your support, because we have like a remote asset there that a person can use to track. Like that's kind of cool as well. So we will have hopefully plenty of cool shots to show you in just under, let me look at the countdown, 60 minutes and 30 seconds from now. And of course, mentioning this is the first flight of B1085, which will attempt a landing on a Shortfall of Gravitas. So the last time I think we didn't have landing audio, but maybe we'll get landing audio again. Like, it seems I wonder if they just forgot, Ryan. Like, the last time I think it happened, it was like, there were suddenly no landing audio anymore. Like, I wonder if either something is broken or if they just forgot the last time to activate the landing audio.
Forgot to flip a switch, maybe.
Yeah,
it happens.
Would be cool. I always love to hear the sound of the landing. It gives you like a context of how powerful even this landing is.
I mean, the sonic booms and the energy coming off the Merlin aren't exactly kind to microphones or any other camera equipment close to it. D and I can speak from experience. So I'd imagine, unless they have it like very much armored and secured in some fashion where it doesn't need to be replaced often, they might have to have it replaced often, because the amount of audio that you have to try to control or well, not control, but more so try to capture at that range and at those acoustic levels is, I would safe to say, it would your own human ears would be screaming in agony, if not if not be deaf.
Yeah, I mean it'll vibrate the diaphragms a ton on those things, and that's on top of just the whole electronics, saltwater not going well together. So it wouldn't surprise me if that is a regular piece of maintenance that needs to be done.
Yep, for sure. I hope we get it though. It's like it's such a nice thing. It's it's something new on a Falcon 9, and that's always making it very exciting. Let's see here what other questions I can throw to all of you. By the way, apparently this is entering a very busy period for SpaceX, because they not only have this mission, they also have from Slick 40 potentially another Starlink on Friday early morning, and then another Starlink from Vandenberg on Friday, and Polaris Dawn, and another Starlink from Slick 40 on next week's Tuesday. Max, are you excited to have a Starlink at 2 a.m. on Friday?
Well, they always hit different for a reason, Adrian. We're always happy to be out here. Duh.
It's like a 3 to 5 or so window. It's going to be exciting.
I do have to say though, like dragging yourself out here between like 2 and 4 a.m. for a mission, like Starlink, it's an interesting experience, because over here at the press site, normally for either commercial missions or especially crewed missions, of course, there's people everywhere. There's equipment scattered everywhere, people buzzing. For missions like this, especially at night, none of the people who work at the press office over here are, of course, at the office. The parking lot's next to empty, and it's just us and maybe a couple of other local outlets that are out here covering it. So we pretty much have the whole place to ourselves, and honestly, that feeling never gets old.
It's kind of crazy that we are at the stage in rocketry where people, like some press people, do not bother to show up for launches. Like,
that's pretty much where that's honestly what the cadence has come down to. And it's almost become like watching aircraft take out of Orlando or Melbourne here. But that's honestly the goal. I mean, spaceflight, the goal, especially with SpaceX, is to make spaceflight more routine, and of course, the cadence to be at a point where it happens almost every day. And they are nearing that goal very, very quickly, at least with Falcon 9, and hopefully they can near that cadence with Starship within the next maybe 3 to 5 years, if not a little bit longer, depending on what their goals are in that time. But there's just so much nowadays. It's pretty difficult to keep up unless you're really, really, really into this stuff.
yeah, like I always have. I bet everybody here has these conversations when you have like conversations with, I don't know, family members and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, but how often does a rocket even launch?" And when you tell them like, "Oh, yeah, like every 3 days or so," they're completely stunned. Like people don't expect that. Ryan, did you have like these kind of conversations where people are like surprised how many rockets are flying at this point?
Yeah, I talked to people at work, and like, oh, you follow SpaceX or that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, they launched yesterday. They're launching in a few days. They're like, they launched that quick? You're like, yeah, they've already done 80 something missions this year. What is this? I'm trying to remember which mission this is this year. Yeah, like number 80 to 84. It's like they've already done 84 this year. It's like, what? It's like, huh? Yeah, it's just kind of, people are just kind of, they don't understand that they launched that much.
Yep, it's absolutely mind-boggling that how often they launch. And remember, they had this rocket was grounded a few days ago. That's or like a few weeks ago, and there's no sign of that anymore. That's gone. So let's they will just continue to launch probably until the end of the year for like every 2 to 3 days. Let's see here. Some more questions. We have time for like 2 or 3 more questions before we are getting into the business end of this countdown. Let's see here. Chat, I'm looking at a few more questions. So if you have anything, tag at NASA Spaceport in chat, and then we can make sure to ask these to our very competent people here on air. Oh, that's an interesting one. How many consecutive successful landings are we up to? That's. I wonder. I think Alex has that at the stat sheet. It's 267. That's kind of crazy. 267 in a row that you're just landing.
Mm-hmm. No issues. Yeah. 267. It's like,
I love that we're now in a situation where successful launches and successful landings, the landings streak is longer than the launch streak.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's a funny statistic. So, there we go. Oh, I have to acknowledge this. Bite Ford with the $50 super chat. Wow! Launches will never get old for me. Then again, all my fellow agents, friends, and family know I'm a nerd and love to get all my corny updates. This is never boring, especially with NSF. Biteford, thank you so much for these kind words. That's a lot of support, as you always support us so generously. And of course, we are happy to entertain you all with what we can do with our launch coverage. So thank you so much, Biteford. Very generous. Let's see here. It's kind of crazy. Is that true? It's crazy that SpaceX beats the rest of the world 2-1 at least. Do we have these numbers? How close it is versus SpaceX versus the rest of the world in terms of launches this year? I think it's rough. It could be even more than 2-1, honestly.
You know, I think our very own Tyler Gray has a count on his personal X page that marks which country has how many launches in a given year, and to this point in 2024. I cannot remember exactly what the figures are now, but if somebody wants to pull up his page and try to find that post, I can almost guarantee he would have the numbers.
Yep, I'm spotting it. Last update was on August 16. Let me see here. So it's not even close. It's crazy. So we had 80 Falcon 9s back then. I'm just putting this tweet here into the back channel, so maybe Jay can display it. But it's kind of crazy. It's more than 2-1. So we have 80 Falcon 9s, and the second place after that is 10 Electrons. So
that's amazing.
I don't like. It's just stupid. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and mind you, SpaceX had to have a 2-week stand down with a Falcon 9 anomaly in that time, and they are still on track to well outpace their cadence from last year, which speaks volumes to all teams involved at the company.
Yep, there we go. That's from our very own Tyler Gray at TylerG1998 on X. Sorry, yeah, it's up there, and he is updating that from basically after it launches. So always a cool statistic to keep in mind. Thank you, Tyler. So let's see here. Ryan, what's happening to the second stage of Falcon 9s after payload deployments?
For these missions, they'll get chucked into what is just off the Indian Ocean, if I remember correctly, like just off the west coast of Australia, or if sometimes it changes. It's been a minute since I looked at it, but yeah, they get deorbited, get put back in, burned up, reduce the amount of waste that there is up in Leo. I'm trying to remember, because I remember back when, like, earlier Starlinks, they had that one rod that would come loose. I don't think Starlinks leave anything in orbit anymore, or even off the top of my head. It's been a minute though. I don't think they leave anything up there because they bring back the fairings. Second stage gets re-entered. Of course, obviously, first stage comes back, and the Starlinks get deployed. So yeah, no debris that gets left up. So, you know, SpaceX is launching lots and lots of missions, and they don't like to leave anything up there, trying to help manage the amount of junk that gets left into orbit. So
Yep, and then the Chinese upper stage breaks apart.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Let me thank some more people here, starting with Stevery becoming a Red Team member. Thank you so much. And of course, RC Horseman gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Also a very regular name here. Thank you, RC Horseman. And I hope people enjoy these getting their name green. And of course, all the perks about photos and cool shots of like bokeh and everything that you can access on the membership page on the NSF YouTube channel. With that, we are now 4 minutes and 45 seconds away from the potential launch of Starlink 10-5. Weather appears to be green, rocket appears to be fueling. Basically, everything looking good. And I think our 2 photographer / videographer in the field are preparing their tracking and the cameras. So if you see like from these cameras, maybe a bit of wobble, that sometimes can happen as they're getting ready to track this rocket. Do you will we have you on comms, or should I send you away now for the launch?
I suppose I can stay on comms. I'll switch to a voice activity mode and I'll go hands on the camera, but I'll listen in and I'll hop in if there's anything relevant.
There we go. Thank you. Max, quick question for you here. Flight route for this. Where's this one going?
This mission?
Yes.
It is heading off on a northeastern trajectory at about 53 degrees. So it's heading off northeast. So if you are in northern Florida or on the northern east coast of Florida, I should say, it will be coming from your right to left. And if you are to the south of Cape Canaveral, anywhere from Cocoa Beach all the way down to say Fort Lauderdale, of course, it will be going right to left. But of course, because of the trajectory, it will be a much narrower window to see it, just because of the shape of the flight path relative to where you are.
Thank you so much, and I will now let you go to prep your cameras. I also saw the answer from Chris Bergen in the chat saying this thing goes to space, which is a very accurate way to describe where this thing is going, but not helping.
It's going into space, or bracket, it's going into a orbit around Earth. You know, it's a little more accurate, but you know, yeah.
Can we just say up?
Is complete.
It's going up.
It's going up.
Well,
it is going up.
And then sideways.
Yeah.
So
Or up and sideways at the same time. I don't know.
There you go. Do you see already Strongbag has retracted on the Falcon 9 rocket? That basically is used to do fuel and to give the rocket stability. But now closer to countdown, it's retracting already. And then of course we'll be ready to retract a bit more as they're getting ready to launch this rocket. And don't want to damage all of their equipment and hardware. So that's what they're doing here. Rocket is wrapping up loading here, and in 2 minutes from now we should see a Falcon 9 booster flying for the first time.
And I will say, at the press site, at least, the wind has been picking up dramatically over the last couple minutes. It's nothing concerning for the rocket, but it's coming from behind us, and it had been a very still morning up until this point.
And we just had the confirmation from SpaceX that Stage 2 LOX load is complete as well. And there's the vent confirming that. So 90 seconds from now, we should see a rocket launch. And again, this is the first flight of this booster, B1085, which will debut on this mission and then will be refurbished, or like basically turn around. And then we'll fly the Crew 9 mission as early as September 24. So, there we go. 70 seconds from now, the Falcon 9 ground, the Falcon 9 computer will actually take over the countdown now in the event that they call Falcon 9 is in startup. That's where the computer takes over the countdown, and then basically the rocket is in charge of the countdown going forward. There it is. Next thing will happen is in 20 seconds or so from now, the launch director will give the go for launch for today's mission. Hopefully.
LD, go for launch.
There it is. We got the go for launch. for today's Starlink 10-5 mission. Again, pointing out this is 22 satellites. Sometimes we saw 23, sometimes it's 22. Today's mission is another of these 22 missions that we will see. 20 seconds from now, you will see, if depending on the view, that there will be some deluge system activation at the bottom of the rocket, that you might see a flash of green. That is the T-tab igniting the 9 Merlin engine at the bottom of B1085. Just 5 seconds from now, watch at the bottom of the rocket. You should see the plume. There it is. There's engine ignition. And we have liftoff of Starlink 10-5 with the debut flight of B1085 for the first time. Let's listen in for the gorgeous sound of Falcon 9. Some gorgeous visuals and audio here, Ryan. Like, you saw that vapor cone.
Oh, yeah. I always love a good vapor cone, and you can see the exhaust expanding as it gets higher up. But the Falcon Eye always seems to look really, really pretty every time it launches. Hard to go wrong.
Absolutely. And we are just 30 seconds away from the end, actually, of this first stage burn. The first stage, of course, doing the majority of the in-atmosphere lifting before the second stage kicks in, and will then do most of the space burn. And then, hopefully, we will see this booster returning. Watch for the event called MECO, Main Engine Cutoff, happening very, very soon here. You will see... There it is. That's MECO. And you will see stage separation now, and then second stage ignition. There's the separation, and there's the ignition of the MVAC engine. A vacuum-optimized version of the Merlin engine, most likely a non-stubby one for this mission. There is non-stubby, normal Merlin.
Yeah, they don't really have the performance to put 22 Starlinks up with a stubby. That'd be kind of hard to. So
I wonder if they took one satellite less to also reduce the stress on this booster potentially, because it's coming up on a crew flight. There are the Starlinks, by the way.
I don't know.
Yeah. I will ask them. There's a very good chance I won't get an answer.
That was a cool vapor cone.
That was a really cool
vapor cone. Right? That was... I don't know why. They feel more like frequent lately with these vapor cones. Maybe it's just me, but...
I think it's the timing, because it's the early morning. It's still a little bit cooler. It hasn't heated up nearly so much. So I think it has to do with just the time. It's closer to the dew point, and it all sort of lines up together, because we have definitely gotten a lot of great vapor cones recently.
And Alex confirming to us that it is indeed not to reduce the load on the first stage, because MECO's speed was about the same as other Starlink missions. So the first stage didn't about the same work. The second stage is going about 20 kilometers higher than recent Group 10 missions, though. So more stress on the second stage, indeed, and not the first stage. So my theory was debunked.
I mean, there can be a lot of different reasons as to why they didn't put another Starlink sat on. I'm not an expert in orbital mechanics, so we'll go with that. There could be a lot of different reasons why, but no, I pretty much on any Starlink mission or anything, it seems like Falcon 9, this first stage does about the same work on all of them, at least as far as I can tell. So
I would agree with that.
Up to a few seconds ago, I'm still hearing some rumble from this launch. It's very quiet compared to how loud it is at liftoff, but it is still noticeable if you really listen for it.
I have to say, the audio today was super crisp, especially with the wind direction and also being farther away from 40, like we are. That was super crisp audio coming from Falcon 9 today.
Yeah, you could hear like these deep throttled crack, like this cracking noise that Falcon 9 tends to do. Very, at least on our audio, it was like very pronounced.
And that's exactly how it sounded for us as well. And also the VAB squealing like a mother, as it always does from 40. Yeah, super crisp audio. I really hope it came over the mic because that was incredible.
It came over the mic. Like I say that, but I don't know, of course, how it sounded in real life. But it sounded nice. Let's say it like that.
I guess you should come find out for yourself at some point, Adrian.
Stage 1.
Florida is certainly on my travel list. Speaking of things on the travel list, this booster has a shortfall of Gravitas on its travel list. And the first step for that is the entry burn, which just started up, which will now slow down the booster in preparation to go through the more denser part of the atmosphere and hit that at a lower speed and a bit of a more gentle approach. So there we see the entry burn now on 3 engines.
Stage 1 entry
You can
burn
see
shutdown.
always you can always see when they go from 1 to 3 engines how it changes from almost like a circle to a line. That's like when they use all 3 landing engines and not just one. So always interesting to see. And that was the booster's entry burn. Next up is the landing burn in less than 2 minutes from now. That's coming up very rapidly. You can already see the clouds. And again, we will listen in if we get some landing audio and then be quiet, of course, so you can enjoy that. But the last time we didn't get it, so stay tuned for that. Looks to be cloudy. Look at that. Quite some clouds that booster has to go through now.
If anything, it adds perspective just to how quickly it's moving.
Stage 1
That's
transonic.
true. And here comes the clouds, and then just 1,200 kilometers an hour right now flying.
Keep an eye on the
Meanwhile,
grid fins for any cool like vapors or anything.
It's always cool when you see like the air in front of the grid fins, right?
Oh, I just had a Starship thought.
Oh, look at that! You can see the clouds going through the grid fins a
landing
bit.
burn. Stage 2 terminal guidance. Stage 1 landing light deploy.
Oh, that footage was juicy.
Stage 1
Ooh,
landing
that was
burn.
pretty
And
on
for
the
the-
mark. That one.
Uninterrupted. That was so smooth.
And for the first time, B1085 touches down in what will hopefully be many landings. There we go. This was so far picture perfect, and SpaceX, of course, now approaching the Seco 1 moment where the burn of the second stage will end, and you will see the MVAC shutdown. There it is. Wonderful.
You know, if SpaceX is that accurate with Booster 12, they may catch it.
Do you think they will,
game.
Ryan?
What?
Do you think they will?
It's a maybe. Like, you want me to put a percentage on it? Like, I'm just gonna throw a 50-50 up. It's really hard to tell whether or not it'll work. It's one way or another, it'll be an amazing view just to see it come back, whether or not they catch it. It'll be one of the greatest things we've ever seen. It's just, even if it misses or it blows up, one way or the other. Yeah. So but if they're that accurate, I think they can do it. They got leeway, so I think they can do it if they're that accurate.
Max, you asked, now you have to answer as well. Do you think they will catch it?
Hot take. So, assuming that they can get nominal hot staging and assuming it has a nominal boost back burn, they've already proven that they can land it at a precise point in the water. Granted, it wasn't exactly near the coast, but the booster went exactly where they wanted it to go. And considering that Super Heavy has the ability to hover, unlike Falcon 9, I think that they're going to do it. Assuming they have a nominal boost back burn and the booster goes where it's supposed to, I think that they're going to do it. Oh man, that's so wild to think about because
I know, right?
Because Falcon 9 and Starship also fly so differently, pretty much in every single aspect of their flight profiles. And of course, we see Falcon 9, of course, needing a re-entry burn to slow it down enough to punch back through the atmosphere, whereas Super Heavy doesn't have that. It just punches through as it is at the speed that it's traveling. And from the cameras on Flight 4, you could see the visible stress that put the grid fins and the tank structure under. Everything was bending and moving and flexing and fluttering. Like the booster was under a tremendous amount of load in almost every direction because of how fast it was traveling against the atmosphere. But yeah, I think they're going to do it. Assuming they have a nominal boost back burn, I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, that's. I also think they will do it. There we go. I am saying it. I'm optimistic for once.
It's a lovely change. Isn't it amazing what these Starlinks do to you, Adrian?
Yeah, they even make the German optimistic. It's insane. By the way, Alex confirming the back channel that according to his tracking and prediction, SpaceX is now on track again for 129 Falcon missions this year. And they're slowly ramping up their cadence more and more. So they're, after the grounding and everything, they're now getting the cadence up again. So we'll see where they end up. And yeah, I mean, looking good on a launch pad here. We have a good old empty launch pad, and the TE probably about to go up again because they want to go again on Friday. This is just the beginning of their week.
Mm-hmm.
Let me thank some more people here. I have to thank some more people here that supported us during the launch phase of this. Starting with Gareth Williams for gifting a Red Team membership. Thank you so much for that. And then we have Bruce Bennett with $20 super chat. When will used boosters be on sale? Well,
Never.
So far SpaceX, yes, so probably the good answer.
Never. Yeah.
I mean, SpaceX so far likes to fly them. That's a problem.
Like, I mean, eventually they're gonna get to a point with one of the boosters where it'll have flown so much and they'll inspect the welds and they'll go, well, if we fly it one more time, it may fail. And at that point, that booster, whichever one it is and however many flights it is, that probably goes into a museum. That Block 5, whichever one it is. Maybe that's at 40 flights. Yeah. Maybe it's at 40 flights. You get a 40 flight booster that goes into a museum, and it's like, all right, now you got a booster in a museum that's flown more than in the shuttle, any shuttle. It's like, okay, or maybe 50 flights. Like it's just, yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
They're not just going to sell it.
Yeah, I think they will go down into the water. Booster 1058, gifting one Red Team membership. Thank you so much for that. And JG Colombe also gifting a Red Team membership. Thank you all for the support. And I believe we have some replays, starting with two of our bots here tracking. So on the left, of course, is the replay. And there goes Falcon 9. just over the trees. Wonderful. You can see a bit of exhaust leaving there. And now the wider pod there. It's always a matter of spotting the Falcon 9.
As it goes above the tree line. There it is.
Yep, there it is. Hello, Falcon 9. And I believe this one is max track with audio, and we will get some visuals on the vapor cone again. So, once more, you will be able to enjoy the crisp audio of today.
Curious to see how it came through.
Oh yeah, you can now enjoy once it hits. It always takes a bit longer than I think. Here it comes. There we go. Absolutely stunning footage of the vapor cone. I always love that. Always good to see. But yeah, I think this is quite close, bringing us to the end of today's Falcon 9 coverage. But we have, for the outro, one more thing we will show you, and that's of course these slow-mo footage. And let me start to thank Dee here as well for being on today's stream.
Of course, I'm always happy to be here, and this was a daylight. It wasn't 3 a.m., you know, and we'll be back out here later this week, and I'm always happy to be here. Thanks all for tuning in.
Thank you, Dee, and also thank Max for being in the field as well.
Of course, and a pleasure as always, and thank you very much everyone for coming out to hang out with us this morning, or afternoon, or evening, depending on wherever you're watching from. We will hopefully see you bright and early on Friday morning.
Absolutely, and Ryan, also thanks for joining me on today's commentary about Falcon 9.
Yeah, it's fun to get on. Don't get to talk about Falcon 9 much. More Starship, but you know, it's always fun to go on a Starlink and talk about it.
Absolutely. And also behind the scenes, we had Jay Keegan being the operator of today's stream and making sure everything looks nice and amazing. And of course, we also had Gage as a tracker for today, using our robotic assets to track today's rocket. And with that, remember, it's just the start of a busy week. We have a Starlink on Friday, and then of course, we are on Sunday to Monday is the Polaris Dawn night, where we will, of course, give you all the coverage you need to enjoy Polaris Dawn. And my name is Adrian Bile. I'm your host for today's mission. And now it's time to watch some slow-mo shots from today's Starlink 10-5 mission. Thanks for watching, everybody.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Say again, SPD off. Off. It's orange! 145! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage. What is it? Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane would be igniting the flare, correct?